That's recording.
Hi, we're Venus Girls, and we formed in Leeds at the back end of 2017, and we have been gigging ever since, trying to get our word out there and get our message out there before the world stopped last year. So since then we've kind of just been doing what we can without the kind of support of live music, trying to get into the studio when it's safe and when we can, and just writing as much as we can remotely, and that's kind of all we've been doing since the start of the pandemic.
How long have we been in the industry for? So I guess since we formed in 2017?
We formed towards the end of 2017, and then I'd say we didn't properly start until 2018, to be honest, because we were just kind of rehearsing. It was really up in the air with what we were doing.
We were still getting to know each other as well. We hadn't wrote any songs. It was just like fun at that point, wasn't it?
So I'd say 2018 when we had our first gig and stuff like that. It kind of went from there really. After the first gig, we just hit the ground running.
When did our world stop?
I guess a similar time for when everyone else, like March. March last year.
Yeah, since lockdown, because we're all from all over, so a bunch of us had to go home, a bunch of us were isolating obviously with the lockdown, so just since March 2020. You kind of
writing retreat, wasn't it? That's when our world stopped.
Yeah, that was literally about a year ago now, wasn't it? Wasn't it a year ago, a few days back?
Yeah.
So our next job, which is booked, is probably going back into the studio, isn't it, finally in April time?
Sorry, were you going to speak?
I was just going to say it was formally in January, but it's been rolled over until next month.
That's what I was going to say. I was like, it's supposed to be in January, but obviously with the announcement of the lockdown, that got moved. April we're going back in to finally record more music, which is exciting.
And then any live activity isn't going to be happening till the end of the year, probably.
Yeah. There may be some festivals, but I don't know really.
Maybe.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah. How have we all been coping with lockdown?
I guess it's up and down. Like it's, some days you kind of try and make the best of the situation and try and kind of be as productive as you can, even if it's just like getting up and dressed or something. And but then other days, like speaking obviously for myself, sometimes obviously it gets really kind of samey and you kind of feel like you're living the same day over and over again.
Yeah, it's like Groundhog Day.
It is, yeah. But I think it's kind of more or less been like that for a lot of people, hasn't it?
Yeah.
And in terms of like coping, I think just allowing yourself those like down days where you don't do anything and not like getting annoyed that you did absolutely nothing but watch Netflix all day. Like I think that was the biggest thing for me, just like accepting that there are going to be days like that, and that is 100% fine. And that's definitely helped.
It's definitely been like the positives and the negatives for me as well, like a lot of time gardening, which has been good, but then no time gigging, which is getting difficult now, especially not seeing your friends and things like that. It can take its toll, can't it?
I didn't realize how like I kind of didn't appreciate properly how kind of social gigs are. Do you know what I mean? Like in my head they were very much like gigs, they were music, but I kind of didn't realize all the things that come with that until it's kind of been taken away, and how many people we actually saw and met all the time, and how regular that was, and how it was just such a normal thing. But now that we literally can't do that at all, it's like it really kind of, not only playing gigs just because you love it, but it leaves a kind of social void in your life as well.
Especially touring. They're like experiences. Like obviously we're very DIY before like touring, but even that was always just such an experience, wasn't it? Wherever we were, like meeting people or like seeing family and friends, like wherever we're at.
And stuff like that.
So
Yeah, man.
it'll come back hopefully soon though. So our favorite gig or event memory.
Oh,
This is always a
We
varied
say-
one, isn't it? For everyone, I think.
Yeah.
I think for me personally, it's the one right before lockdown at the studio in Hartlepool, just because obviously it's my hometown and the support, and like it was just so busy and everyone had their like flashlights out today. Me, I think that was probably one of my favorite today. There has been loads of others prior to that, but I think that one stands out the most for me at the minute.
yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah,
was really-
that was very fun.
I think
I always
one
say
of my
Glasgow.
favourites was oh, sorry, Gabs, go on.
I always say Glasgow.
Yeah.
Glasgow,
I always come back to that one. I really
Yeah.
do.
Moonstruck and
Yeah,
Clyde did such a good job of that show. Like, loved working with her.
I think for me it was just because of the excitement surrounding it. It was probably our very first headline show. It was quite memorable at Hyde Park Book Club for the release of Deranged. That was like, I think, a bit of a shock for us. Like, we didn't expect whatsoever to sell it out, and we did. I think Grace, I think we actually said to each other we were aiming to like sell half of the tickets, and that would have been like a great achievement for us if we'd sold half.
Well, I remember like all the tickets didn't shift until literally like the night before. There was like
Yeah,
a
it was
time
crazy.
before where it was just like on 20s or something, and we were just like, oh well, you know, it'll be good anyway. And then the night before we were watching them counting down to like until it sold out. It was so exciting.
Yeah, and they just all the tickets just sold out of nowhere, and we were just like,
I think weren't we all at your flat, Grace?
yeah, we were,
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, to be fair, I don't think anything has matched the feeling that I felt when we played that gig. It was like so special. That was like a total one-off. And just like the amount of people who were there to see us at our first ever headline show, it was just like, it was quite overwhelming actually.
It was, yeah.
I was like exhausted afterwards. It was just like so much to take on. Like, it's really full on, but it was really good. It was so good.
What do we miss about our job?
Oh, that.
Spending
What we were
time
just
with
talking
you
about.
guys.
Yeah, I think we're all obviously, when you're in a band, you spend a lot of time with each other. Well, usually not in the middle of a pandemic, you don't, but usually you spend a lot of time with each other, and obviously you get really close as mates and stuff. So it's like not being together has been really just strange and difficult, to not kind of have that that again, that social element, and that kind of like, you know, that friendship, and that, you know, when you go on stage, you go on stage with your mates and stuff, and like not having that is like really sad. So yeah, like that kind of community thing and that friendship thing, I miss that a lot.
I was gonna say that's what I was thinking, like that the whole community spirit and the connection that the audience and the bands get, whether it's making friends who are in the other bands or just communicating with people who are there to see it. It's just an experience that I think it's sometimes hard to put into words, but yeah, it's definitely something that I miss.
Definitely.
Absolutely. And just like as well, just even like little things like rehearsing and, you know, writing. I mean, we've been doing a little bit of writing remotely, but it's not typically how we work. Like we're quite I think for us to kind of get songs to a certain standard, we have to be together, and I'd say that's the case for a lot of bands, but I think writing for us as well is quite a group thing, so trying to do that kind of remotely has been, you know, a valuable lesson to learn for sure, but not one that we prefer over being in person and kind of writing together, I think. So I miss that, and just the kind of, you know, weekly or bi-weekly rehearsals that we had, and kind of working towards them and stuff like that was just really exciting to know that we were rehearsing a new song. So not having that to look forward to has been really strange as well.
So your own experiences, what would you normally be doing now? What would we be doing now?
Say that again.
It says your own experiences, what would you normally be doing now? So I guess what would we be doing right now if it wasn't for COVID?
I guess probably would be or we'd have been releasing a new song.
Oh yeah, probably by now, probably. Our
Yeah.
next single. We would have just been rehearsing as well, like probably every other week or so. We would have been together a lot more.
I probably wouldn't be living at home. That's something that has been put on hold. Yeah.
So
it's weird. I don't know what we'd be doing, like when you actually think about it.
Hard to imagine.
It's like how would things have evolved had it been normal?
Oh well, we were planning a tour in the summer for March, like a joint tour for friends. So I guess that would have taken place if we'd came out of it as well. Like right now we would have been doing a full-length tour. Our struggles as a result of COVID-19. So I guess we've kind of touched base on a lot of that. Just not being able to gigs being a massive one for us, because that was where all of our finances were coming in, especially the sort of level that we're at, being a DIY band. That's literally the only way we make money at the minute, because you sell merch and that, and that's all been put on hold.
Yeah. I think I'd say a lot of bands would say the same thing, that not gigging has been the kind of biggest, void for artists and stuff like that. But then
being able to get in the studio as well.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, our plans have been completely changed all because of COVID, and we'd have probably been gearing up to release more music at this point. All of this stuff. We didn't want to leave a big gap between our previous single and the follow-up. But we've just not had a choice. It's completely out of our hands. So yeah, not being able to kind of just go about your release schedule the way you wanted to, and things doing like music videos, and it's so difficult. Like it becomes really kind of something that should feel relatively simple has become very difficult to navigate.
And finally, our concerns for the future.
Concerns for the future.
Yeah,
I guess that, like, grassroots venues and stuff are not going to be able to recover from this. That's definitely a worry, and that a lot of bands will have just had to quit because of this, and get full-time jobs elsewhere because they just couldn't progress in the situation or something. I think the DIY independent scene is going to take a bit of a hit.
Yeah, absolutely. Even behind the scenes, like sound engineers and things like that as well. They've probably had to get other jobs here and there. That's not in the industry, because there's not enough jobs as well, just in general at the minute, whatever industry you're in. Well, a lot of industries.
And the touring industry as well, like all the crew and stuff who would usually be doing.
But I guess
even the big bands and stuff, that they'll be struggling.
But on a more positive note, when gigs can happen in tours when it's safe to do so, you'd hope people are just wanting to get back out there. There'll be demand of events and shows. So then hopefully the jobs will come back that way, because shows will be happening. And I guess as well, on another positive note, hopefully, if people have learned from lockdown, these shows can be more accessible as well to much more, like many other people who couldn't get to them before, whether it was because of just just different things. I think live streaming has definitely helped. Like, it can be done, so if someone can't physically get to a gig, they can live stream it, having different options in place.
Absolutely.
So there's definitely positives to hope for, but also there is concerns. But yeah, I think that's everything.
It's one of those things we won't know until it happens.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having us. We've been here, girls.